Chorley, tough booking for the lad.
Isn't it?
Tough booking. But thanks for the boxing ring intro.
Almost here to see us.
Yeah.
It's on. Are we?
Mic check. Are you on?
Yeah. I think
Are you on,
so, yeah.
Chorley? Right. We're technically the headline, darling. So enjoy it.
I'm ready.
Now, Chorley, I know the answer to this, right? But you're gonna tell us.
Yeah.
Alkimi.
Yeah.
Advertising, on-chain stuff. What's Alkimi's reason to exist? What problem are you solving?
So yeah, I mean, within like Web 2 advertising, there's a lot of issues that exist, which is basically everything's not traceable. There's a lot of margin taken out of the middle, and by putting stuff on chain, we make it auditable, transparent, and we can lower the cost by about 10x. So like all those kind of good things that most people talk about when they talk about blockchains is very applicable to most marketplaces, and that is true for advertising.
Why are they not doing it? Why has no one gone, hang on a minute, this is cheaper, quicker, faster, better for the environment, etc.? Why have they not? Why is it taking you guys to go, hang on a minute, lads, we should be doing,
Yeah, well, currently, there's big competitors like Google. The people have probably heard of them, but they essentially their business model is already like tied to extracting quite a lot of fees. They've been in trouble with the DOJ recently about that, but it's. For most people, when you tell them what we're doing, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, obviously that makes a lot of sense. Like, why wouldn't people do it that way? But the incumbents that exist within the industry have been there for a very long time. It's a very mature industry. It's $1 trillion industry by 2029 or something. So there's a lot of people who have been in it for a long time, playing the game for a while, and they've got long-standing relationships. There's a lot of things that might go on that, maybe aren't as savory as they should be, and that's where like people have like those relationships that are very sticky, basically. So that's the kind of first hurdle that we've had to overcome. I think it's that Peter Thiel who says you need to be 10x better than your competitor, so we are 10x cheaper. And we also have all of the extra features that come with running on a blockchain that I think you can't find anywhere else at all. And that actually opens up a load of other possibilities in the future, which is stuff that we're looking at for kind of 2026 onwards. So a kind of DeFi product around the exchange as well. So really like utilizing all of the amazing things that blockchains do really, really well, and like bringing that to a very big market, and essentially like bringing the value from a nearly $1 trillion industry on chain is a kind of how I think the whole industry needs to look at these things. It's like there's a lot of money in a lot of traditional markets that exist. We're in advertising, but there's loads of others. And when people finally kind of work out that you can bring that money from outside in, that's where kind of blockchain will stop being a kind of industry in and of itself, but it will be more like the internet, where every business is on the internet, so you don't really talk about internet businesses anymore. It's just the infrastructure that exists that everybody uses, basically.
Because you were in the more traditional ad world before, weren't you, professionally?
Yeah. For like my whole career, basically, has been in advertising, and then got into cryptos and realised that blockchains solved all the problems that we were seeing. Especially working at a big publisher, I worked at Condé Nast, and they were used to printing magazines, really. So they didn't have the kind of wherewithal to like know what they were doing with the technology that was programmatic advertising. So that's kind of how they ended up like losing a lot of revenue. And so, it's the obvious solution to like all of these problems. It's like, well, how much money is getting taken out of the middle? It's like, well, you don't know because Google won't tell you. So by using the blockchain, it's there for everyone to see. You can access that information. You can pull reports on it. We're also integrating AI into it to allow people to do PCAs, so they can basically just ask any question about their campaign or their revenue streams and that sort of thing. So it's the best way to like have immutable data that you can then build your business model off, basically.
When you go, because I think for some of the people here, it's like they are building something that may have a purpose for like the traditional market that they're entering, right? Advertising, whatever it is, finance. When you're speaking to big brands or big agencies that do media buying through you guys, like how are you communicating it to them so they don't go, oh, you're trying to sell me some crypto thing, are you, lad? Like, how are you communicating the value prop to the professional sector?
Yeah.
And how hard, like, it must be hard, no?
Yeah, I think, from a go-to-market point of view, like, it's evolved over time because, we're really excited about blockchains and we think they're really cool, but most people don't give a shit, really. That's, like, the ultimate problem It's like all they really care about is what is the problem you're solving and what is the product that does it for me. So you don't really need to like get into the ins and outs of how blockchain works with people, because there's no point. You really just need to sell them on the features. Like, this is what you're getting for it. This is why it's better. This is why it's cheaper. And the stuff that happens in the background, no one really cares about. Like, most people don't know how their Visa works, right? But they go use a point of sale card reader all the time. But they will still use it because it's faster, it's more convenient, all of those things. So as long as you can sell them on the products and the features of what you're doing, that's really the way to like sell it in. And then, you know, you get those people who are really interested, who will be like, oh, so like, how do you do that? Or, you know, how does the blockchain help you do that? And then you can deep dive with those people, but that's probably 2-3% of the people you're ever going to talk to.
So you're literally, when you're closing these deals, you're not, they don't actually even know this is going on chain type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we started off that way talking about it, but we then quickly realized that most people, it just goes over their head, and you're not going to sell them on blockchain. You're going to sell them on how does it make my life easier at work, and what do I get out of using this technology?
What's been the biggest win for you guys in the last year, let's say?
I think it's just the actual adoption curve has like steepened, which is good. I think, again, it's like the features and what we can actually build using a blockchain is stuff that just is not even on people's like horizon from a sort of traditional advertising perspective. And what that means is we can say, look, you know, we've built this cool feature, we can do this, this is different to what you currently have. And then people are like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, that's great. Like, I can definitely sell that into my client. I can look good in the office, you know, like telling other people about how I've like discovered this new company that does this cool stuff. And I think that, you know, it takes time to build those products and features out. But once you start putting them in market and you're telling people what it does and how it's going to make their life better, it does actually, you do see that adoption happen like a lot faster over time. It's, you know, classic hockey stick. And we're kind of in that curve now, which is cool.
Just on the curve, yeah,
just coming up the curve. Yeah.
So you got the advertisers and the brands, I suppose, that you're dealing with, and you got you guys who are building the tech and stuff. But you have a community, right? Like, in the sense, you have a brand, you have like a diehard community. I've seen. Well, we've got some of your like pins and stickers and stuff, right? You know, the characters and stuff. So, what's driven that? Like, how does that work? How are those guys kind of benefiting from being part of the company?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, when like most people interact with digital advertising all the time, but they are essentially the product that's being sold to somebody else. So by being part of the Alkimi community, holding tokens, you're essentially involved in a value transaction online. So you're no longer just like the product that's being sold to somebody else. You can actually like own the token, and then you would actually get a yield from that. So that means that, you know, rather than somebody stealing your data to target an ad to you for somebody else to make some money from it, you can essentially like yield farm the internet by holding the token.
How do people respond to that?
I think like most people have an opinion about advertising, like not necessarily often positive, but then when you like kind of reveal a new paradigm for them about how they can, you know, interact with advertising and not see it as something that is negative, but actually, okay, cool, like it has value and then it will have value to me. That's quite a powerful message. I think it resonates quite well with people because most people understand the value of the data that they put online, but there is zero way for them to be involved in the monetization of that. So by being a token holder with Alkimi, by, you know, staking your tokens, you can actually do something that you would never be able to be involved in, really. So it's quite cool.
It's sort of injecting the user or consumer into the commercial relationship, right? Exactly. Of like data holder, data buyer, etc. And it's like, well, no, I'm going to be part of that as well, right?
Yeah, so you've got advertisers and publishers, but the person that the advertisers are trying to reach are normal people, just like any person that they're targeting across the whole internet. So, but it's also been the sort of part of the value chain that's completely ignored. It's like, there's been this kind of trade-off over the whole of the internet, right? It's like, okay, well, somebody can target an ad towards me, but then I get free content, right? That's great. But for a lot of people, that hasn't been enough. There hasn't been enough of a value proposition for them, or, you know, the amount of data that's being taken and stored about individuals has increased a lot over time. But now you're able to actually like be part of that value transaction, then it kind of seems a bit fairer. It's like the added bit that you haven't been available to, hasn't been available to you previously.
Yeah, it's your share for being part of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's been the toughest bit of the last year? In the sense that you guys are like a relatively fast-growing startup, for lack of a better phrase, right? We forget all these, like, it's a tech startup that happens to be using blockchain and on-chain and stuff. Like, that's hardcore. Like, what's been the toughest bit?
I think, we were talking about having a community and stuff, and I think balancing, like, running a real-world business with crypto business community is kind of difficult, because every day you're doing kind of normal stuff that is, pushing the business forward, but also you can't really tell everyone about everything that you're doing that's really cool, because that's not kind of how the community sort of system works. And if you say, oh yeah, we're building this thing, and they can't see it happen tomorrow, then that's always a problem. So it's that kind of balancing act, it's like, rewarding as well, but that is always a challenge. It's like communicating your message like strongly to that community and making sure that they kind of understand what you're trying to do and how you're trying to get there, and that you are working hard every day. And, we ultimately want the business to be successful. So, yeah.
It's a tough gig, isn't it? For I think for most kind of crypto on-chain companies that have a token, you basically have this pool of 20,000 additional shareholders.
Yeah, it's basically like IPOing.
Yeah.
You basically IPO'd from day one, didn't you? Do you know what I mean? It's like you have a bunch of people who you have to kind of keep up to date about what's going on. It's no different if you're a publicly listed company, I guess.
For sure. So, okay, mega brands working with, that's moving forward. What's the shoot for the next 12 months for you guys? What are we going to be talking about next year?
Yeah, I think it's, it is scaling up, really. It's that kind of, we've done the 0 to 1 bit now, and now we need to kind of get beyond that. And that involves, like, reaching out to the US, which is kind of going to be a big thing for next year. But also, like, there's a few more extra products that we're bringing out. So talked about the DeFi element. So we've created that marketplace where buyers and sellers, get to interact with each other across the marketplace, but actually putting a financial structure around that. The killer app really for most cryptos and blockchains is stable coins at the moment. But everything that DeFi offers allows people to get yield from things that happen within certain marketplaces. So we're going to be building that kind of around the outside, which means we'll be able to pay publishers on day zero to help with their cash flow, which is the biggest issue for them within that kind of transaction. So they normally have to wait about 120 days. But we're bringing that down to zero by creating a DeFi pool where people will be able to get a yield from it. And that will go to like paying these publishers early. So, we're just doing God's work, really.
Are the publishers going to know they're part of a DeFi pool that's getting them early payment?
Yeah, I mean, again, some of them might ask, but again, really all they care about is like, cool, I get the money straight away. It's like, that is what stable coins are great for, like instant payments, really. And being able to use DeFi products and get yield and all of those things. There's also the opportunity for them to be pool like LPs in that pool and gain more yield from the ad revenue that they're making. There's quite a lot of different ways that if people really get into it, that they can actually like be part of the ecosystem and probably benefit a lot from it in the way that any token holder or stablecoin provider would be able to.
That's great, man. I think like it's one of those things where everyone always has the mandate of like how do we get more people on chain using blockchain, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that doing it, picking an industry, building rails that people don't almost even need to know that they're using, but then you're talking to Warner Brothers, you're talking to whoever you're talking to, these mega brands that are actually using on-chain technology is great, right? It's like it is an actual angle to mass adoption that isn't just like, oh, everyone buy Bitcoin, everyone buy whatever. It's like, you're building an infrastructure that works, and we've known you guys since you were here last year, right? So it's great to see it kind of like evolve forward, and those conversations with the bigger brands continue to happen, and then, they work with you, and then it's just, it's a great kind of thing to see that ecosystem scale out on both ends of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you see brands get really excited about the overtly Web3 stuff like NFTs or whatever, but actually the kind of business models that you can create using blockchains is infinite, and that I think is the most interesting thing about blockchains. But being able to like apply that to a whole industry, and then the kind of right, we can do everything that you can do previously, but better. And then there's all this like, blue sky stuff that you can do that doesn't exist yet. We, stuff that we don't even know what it's going to be, but are things that actually push things forwards in a way that isn't just like, okay, cool, we're carrying on down the same cul-de-sac that we've been on for a while. It's like, okay, you can actually break out of that and do something very different. You can create products that don't exist. But really in the background, it's all just done on chain. And it's like, that is just underneath. No one needs to know how it's happening or what it is. You know, we geek out about it because that's how we build businesses on top of it. But for most of the people, it's not going to be that interesting, really. They're just like, oh, cool. Have you seen this cool thing that I can do?
So if you like that, you'll love this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think we kind of always said it. It's like the blockchains and crypto will win when people don't realize they're using it. And we're kind of getting to that stage now where there's kind of more businesses doing more real world stuff that is just kind of underneath the sort of UI layer that most people will be interacting with.
Amazing. We're at time.
Boom.
Hang on. Thanks everyone for sticking around and listening. Appreciate it. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks.
You're a hero.
Cheers, mate.